As we continue to cover the fallout from the Supreme Court's decision on abortion rights, thousands took to the street all over the country this weekend to protest the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. 13 states have trigger laws that will go into effect as a result of the ruling. Well, many are saying at this point it seems like an AR-15 has more rights than a woman does. So the question is, where does America go from here? Joining us today is Rina Shah. She's a Republican strategist and a mother of two. She's also the Chief Executive Officer of Relax Strategies. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Mimi. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's just jump right in. I've always said the court has not ended abortion, but they have cut off the path to safe and legal abortion. So what does this mean for low-income women, Black and brown women who live in Texas, Mississippi, Louisiana, who now have their access cut off?
Well, the Supreme Court's decision was stunning to so many, including many Republicans like me who have been in politics for a long time. I must add that I have been, though a lifelong registered Republican, I have been pro-choice. And that's important to note because I think there are a great many women out there who still are registered Republican and maybe anti-abortion for themselves, but pro-choice for other women. My entire sort of outlook on this whole subject has been that freedom, body autonomy, liberty starts with the individual. And I thought that's what the Republican Party was about. And it was like that for many years. This decision has shown that this Republican Party is giving in to a religious faction that has fought very, very hard to criminalize abortion. So when we're talking about who's hurt most by this decision, it is lower income American women. It is Black and brown women in communities in which access to safe abortion is not already that accessible. So what we really need to do now is promote people taking the initiative to learn what their rights are, where they live. Political strategists like me have said it for a long, long time, but now the unthinkable happened for those, again, of us who were pro-choice and want body autonomy to be central. Because I've started to see this, Mimi, through the lens of democracy. And I think that's really important because if women do not have full political, legal, and economic rights even, are they even full citizens in our nation? The answer is no. And so when body autonomy is taken like this, I think the door is open to a number of other rights being taken from us.
Yep, absolutely. Saturday you tweeted the court's decision wasn't about politics and that Roe v. Wade must be codified by Congress. Can you explain what you meant by that tweet, Rina?
Sure. And look, Twitter only gives so many characters and there's nuance everywhere. This is not a black and white issue. This is an issue with lots of gray areas. When I said this isn't about politics, I meant that we have the potential here to transcend typical political lines and divides. Like I just mentioned, I was a staffer on Capitol Hill for many years for two social conservatives. Now, look, I enjoyed my time on Capitol Hill. I learned a great deal. I never thought, and I'm a millennial woman, I'm born after 1981. I never thought Roe would be overturned in my lifetime. And those members of Congress I worked for also didn't think it. But when it came time for President Trump to run, and even though evangelicals did not like him very much, they still sort of, clenched their teeth and sort of pinched their nose and said, we're going to vote for him anyway, because they wanted the justices. They wanted conservative justices who would do this. They got it. Never Trumpers like me, we warned about this, that this was possible. Again, in my time on Capitol Hill, I know there were many Republican staffers who felt the same way as me, is that, look, we're anti-abortion for ourselves, but we're pro-choice for other women because it's about privacy, it's about freedom, and it's about liberty. So when I say the politics, it isn't about that. I mean that we can move forward and build bridges and have coalitions where we bring people together and we push back on this sort of tyranny. What the Supreme Court has said, basically, Mimi, this is really important here, is that we're tossing this back to the states because we feel that the state should be able to tell you what to do with your body if you are in a situation where you need an abortion. And that makes me very, very scared for the future of myself and my daughters.
You touched on a bunch of things, Rina. I don't even know where to start, but let me just say, it's no one's business why people get abortions. But, I think that you have to really have the belief okay, it's no one's business why people get abortions, but there's this belief, I guess, on the Republican side that women who do get them are just sleeping around or too worried about their career, so they're having abortions every other month. We know that's not the case. But as far to your knowledge, what are some of the reasons that women get abortions?
Mimi, this is a tough topic for so many people to talk about. But I want to mention that I was on Capitol Hill as senior aide to a Republican member of Congress when the Affordable Care Act passed. And central to the Republicans' argument was privacy, that the decisions between you and your doctor should be left there in the exam room. And right now, what we know, look, I've studied public health at the graduate level. I'm married to a physician. I'm the daughter of one, and I'm the sister of one. And in my household, I've known for years that all this is going to do, overturning this decision, overturning Roe, is going to increase the number of unsafe and non-sterile abortions. That is something nobody wants. People get abortions for various reasons. In fact, miscarriages are classified as spontaneous abortions. It's something like an ectopic pregnancy, which a lot of people have heard about. That's also considered abortion. So there are so many reasons that women need an abortion. And this is about our reproductive rights. What's happening in our body should be between ourself, the person that you have procreated with, who you're in that situation with, and your doctor. This is not about the state. It scares me that the state, based on where you live, can have a say in what you can do with your body. This is just unbelievable to me. And what I want to say to those of you who are listening, who are scared, it's time to punish the politicians that do not represent your values. So if you're like me, that means that you vote straight Democrat ticket for the first time in your life. I did that in 2018 and again in 2020 because I wanted to punish those lawmakers that didn't represent my values, that were going with President Trump and his and policies of his that were like the Muslim ban. I didn't agree with that. So what did I do? I voted for people that represent my values. Now that may change in a future election, but that is what the ideal voter in a democracy does. Votes based on the issue, not along party lines. So wake up tomorrow and decide that you're going to take action to know about what your rights are, where you live, because that's what this decision did. It said where you live matters. That's what it all boils down to, Mimi.
Yeah, you are so right, Rina. Justice Thomas says the landmark decision that established gay rights and contraceptive rights should be reconsidered now that the federal right to abortion is ended and shifted to the states. Do you think that the justices will open Pandora's box, reverse gay marriage, birth control? Is that where we are now?
Yes, we are there. Anything is possible. And that's what Justice Clarence Thomas did by sharing with us the opinion. And right there explicitly, he said, all of this is on the line. And this is emotional. This is hard because there was a lot of activism on the Republican side that basically got lucky. That activism was important, of course, to get to the Supreme Court and get those justices in that wanted to overturn Roe. But I wouldn't discount the Democrats. I wouldn't say the Democrats failed completely. I'm saying that the Democrats need to go for the jugular now that they know what the mission is of the Republicans. It's to take away more rights. That is tough. So that's why I called for codifying Roe. Congress has to act. And if there's anything to learn from this entire situation, it's that term limits also matter. I would like to see term limits on those of us serving us in Congress because they've been there for a long time and they're clenching power and they're not in touch with what basically all Americans want. Upwards of 60% of Americans did not want to see Roe overturned. 58% of U.S. women of reproductive age live in states that are hostile to abortion rights. Now, you tell me, those stats don't align with who's serving us in Congress and who's serving us in the Supreme Court. So we must act now that we know the playbook.
And what you just said, a majority of Americans, they believe in a woman's right to choose, including 38% of Republican voters. So, why do you think, and Rina, we're running out of time, but this is such a great conversation, but why do you think they ignored the will of the people? We all watched them during the confirmation hearing say this was off the table, but now here we are. So at this point, what can be done, if anything?
Sadly, this goes right back to my politics. When Congressman Mike Pence was a congressman in the U.S. House of Representatives, I was a staffer there. And that was before he became governor of Indiana and, of course, the vice president. He was somebody that I saw in many of his voting patterns was legislating with his holy book. And I'm not a Christian person, but I did attend parochial school, I must add. I have love and respect for all faiths, but I believe in the separation of church and state. And it always worried me when I saw lawmakers legislating with their holy book. And I feel that that's what these Supreme Court justices did. They made a decision to overturn precedent, which they said in their confirmation hearings. Gorsuch and Kavanaugh explicitly said that they would not want to overturn precedent. And here we are in this era because they are legislating with their faith and personal beliefs. And that is wrong, in my opinion. We need to be an America for everyone. And that means respecting religious freedom. And that means freedom of religion in our halls of Congress, as well as the Supreme Court. So we need to get back on track, frankly. I think the only way to do it is to show people that this decision was not in line with what the Republican Party, whether you're talking about modern era or the Republican Party of years past, it doesn't align with the values that they told us they were about, which were privacy, liberty, and freedom.
So, Rina, last question. We have to leave it here. Republicans are expected to take the House in November, possibly the Senate. With this news, do you think that still may happen?
I think it's tough now. Of course, things have been pointing to what would be called a red wave this fall. And look, this is sort of historically in line with what we see. The party in power sort of gets a referendum, and there you see a boot given to an incumbent president too, based on his performance. Inflation, that is an issue that is at top of everybody's minds. We're all feeling it every time we step out of our home. There's sticker shock, it seems, especially for young mothers like me. I'm now a mom of 3. Actually, I just gave birth a couple months ago. Thank you. And so the baby formula shortage hit me too. Mm-hmm. It's going to be tough for voters to get energized, but I really do hope this energizes the voter that says, no, I'm not going to let my individual rights and my freedoms be on the line any longer. So frankly, yeah, this ball is in the court of the Democrats, and I'd like to see them go for the jugular with messaging.
Absolutely. Rina Shah, Republican political advisor, thank you so much. We'll have to have you back. This was such a wonderful, spirited conversation, and we'll catch up with you in a few months and see where we are.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.